When I was in college, my friends and I would fairly regularly go play pickup basketball at the gym. And many times we just play with each other. And there are also times, though, that, man, maybe there's a guy on the sidelines that wants to jump in. And more often than not, man, they usually would get to come in and play with us. And I really remember one instance specifically. This guy approached us about playing a game, and we had an odd number, so we were happy to let him join in. But before we started the game, he looked at us, and as serious as he could be, he said this: "I want to tell y'all, I'm pretty good." It was an odd move to state that before we played, but I thought, hey, he must be all right. Well, as we began to play, I noticed something was not matching up. He had told us he was good, but the skills were, how would you put it, lacking. He couldn't dribble well, his shot was not hitting the rim, much less making it in, and he seemed to forget that you could not run with the ball. My friends and I didn't say anything to each other at the time, but afterward we were pretty tickled about how this guy had such an elevated view of himself. Well, you know, in 1 John 2, God gives us something to check ourselves by. And this is what he says in verses 10 and 11. "The one who loves his brother or sister remains in the light," or in Christ, "and there is no cause for stumbling in him. But the one who hates his brother or sister is in the darkness, walks in the darkness, and doesn't know where he's going, because the darkness has blinded his eyes." So what's God saying? Well, point blank period, here's the truth. You can say you love God, but if you don't love his people, something's wrong. Just like that guy told us he could hoop, but he really couldn't actually, the same could be said about those who profess to love God, but disregard love for the church and for his people. Tell me you love God. Hey, that's great. But what in your life shows that? Does the faith of your mouth match the faith of your hands and your feet? Let's love God and love people, because remember, change begins in you.
The Change Begins in You is brought to you in part by Piggly Wiggly of Collinsville, Patrick Allen Companies, Mitchell Tire and Wrecker in Collinsville, and Mowdy Cabinetry.